Welcome to another episode of the Lightspeed Investing Podcast. We have Sebastian here, active trader and founder of a powerful speaking agency, joining us today to share with us what he sees to be the most effective ways of speaking, right? If you're looking to get in front of many people at once. Sebastian, what's going on, man? How are you doing today?
Doing fantastic. Thanks again for having me on. It's an honor.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited for this episode because not only are you going to share with the audience what you've seen works, right? But to share with them reminders, regardless of how they're speaking, right? Whether it be virtually, physically, in person, right? Certain points to make sure to maintain and deliver with so that there is additional oomph in their message.
Right, right. Yeah, well, I'm very excited to do the same. I've got a couple of points here that I've learned over years of public speaking, and I've seen so many speakers see exponential success just by implementing these few ideas. People who are introverted by nature, people who consider
Mm-hmm.
themselves shy, or who never imagined themselves as public speakers, I've seen them all achieve success just by focusing on these three simple points.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, without further ado, why don't we get into it, man? What is the first point you want to address today?
Right. So the first point, and arguably the most important thing, is what I call alignment and purpose.
Mhm.
And as a speaker, this is the most important thing that you can possibly have. Because before you even get on stage, you have to understand that you need to have a purpose. You cannot speak effectively or in a way that's going to resonate with anyone without having a strong mission behind what you're saying. So, what I mean by alignment, what I mean by purpose is you need to think about why you're doing what you're doing. So if you're a business owner, right, in your case, you're here to free people in the world of finance. You're here to give them financial freedom, stability. That's a purpose. And you need to speak on that almost as if it is your mission, your campaign, right? So a couple of tips that I always have for people to do that is think about this little exercise. What is it that you want to put out into the world? As an entrepreneur, I always say this. Your thought process should not be what can I take from people, but what can I give to them instead? So I came from a background of finance as well. When I would get on stages and I'd start speaking, I would always take the same avenue for alignment and for purpose. And that is, hey, everyone, I'm here to speak because my mission, my purpose here, every time I get on the stage, is to enlighten you to the tools that you have already accessible to you to achieve
Mhm.
financial freedom. Bam. That's all it is. Why you're there, your intentions. That is extremely important as a speaker.
And for you, did you have to go through some trials and tribulations to find how important that was? I mean, what was your, journey, before you really figured this out?
Well, yeah, I would say I knew what I always wanted, and I always
Hmm.
was a very purpose-oriented person. I always thought about what I wanted to put out into the world, what I wanted to change about the world. I simply took some time to fully lean into that, and that was when I started doing public speaking. Was when I fully leaned into, hey, you know what? I gotta start acting like this is my purpose. I gotta be in
Mm.
alignment with this. If this is what I really want, why am I not on stages speaking this? Why am I not offering things in my service to allow people to do that? Right. So I also imagine that your question kind of comes down to what you should do if you don't have a purpose in mind yet, if you don't have a strong mission or alignment for your
Yeah,
business. I would
that's right.
simply go back and think to yourself, right? What you want to change in the world. If you have a business doing car detailing, if you have a business doing, teaching or a gym, whatever it is that you have, think about what you want to do that's different because you'll never stand out if you don't answer one question. What
Hmm.
makes what you do revolutionary? And it has to be if you want to see success. It has to be revolutionary.
I love that, man. I love that. And so let's say, they now have that down, right? How do they organize their cadence or presentations into a seamless flow, right? What are
Right.
your what would your best advice be, right, on that?
Well, the wonderful thing about this conversation that we're having is this doesn't just apply to uh, speaking on stages. This applies to speaking to anyone, any human being, family, friends, professionals, closing deals, everything in the game. So
Speaking
once
is a way of life, right?
yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah,
being articulate helps you express yourself in every domain. You'll never
that's
see
right.
anything in life ever have lack if you're articulate.
Yeah.
So Once you have the strong mission in mind, what does that do? Why do I always start off all my speakers with that same concept? What is that you want to put out into the world? Because once that's there, things begin to manifest. When you're passionate about something or when you have it so internalized into who you are, you can speak on it without having to write scripts. For example, when you speak to your family and friends, you don't stutter, you don't run out of things to say, you don't get nervous.
Hmm.
Why? You're speaking directly from who you are, right? If you internalize your purpose into your very being and you develop a passion for it, thinking about, man, the world needs this because of dot dot dot. You finish that sentence for your industry. The world needs me because it doesn't have X or Y. Once you really internalize that with who you are, you can begin speaking completely from the heart. So I don't script any of my presentations. One thing that I taught you, especially when we were working on your speaking, was what I call critical points. Critical points is how you make your presentation always flow seamlessly. So to answer your question, how does that get done? I don't script, but I also don't wing my presentations at all. Instead,
Hmm.
I have a set amount of points, 10 to 20 points that I want to make sure to cover. 10 enlightening points, 10 big hitters, 10 one sentence deliveries that I want to make sure that my audience walks away with every single time. I have that ready. And the reason why I don't script is because I don't want it to be robotic or unnatural. I want to be able to expand or compress each of those points as needed. Because again, since it's flowing directly from my heart, I'm able to do that. I don't have to
Hmm.
script anything. And that's how every speaker should operate.
I love that, man. I love that. What is, would you say the best number in terms of like critical points? Because you and I also discussed depending on how much time you have, right? If you're like in the elevator, you only have 1 minute or 2 minutes versus 6 to 8 minutes, or a full blown 30 minutes to an hour. So how do you determine the amount of critical points, right? In that aspect, and what do you leave in, what do you leave out?
Right. That's a really good question, and that's something a lot of people struggle with.
Hmm.
Because again, there was one time, and I'll give you a little story here. So there was once upon a time where I was told by my agents mistakenly that I was going to have a 2 hour presentation. The day before, I prepared a whole 40 slide PowerPoint ready for the speech that I was going to have. The day before, I get notified that the total event time was 2 hours, but my speaking was only going to be 6 minutes long. So you can
Oh, wow.
imagine how I'm thinking, oh man, that's a huge time difference. How
This
am I
was
going
an
to fit?
in-person, this was in-person
Yeah,
stage, right? Yeah, okay.
in person too. Right. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
imagine
Yep.
there's no online like there's no backing out of it. This is an in person arrangement, and it's a huge one as well with a massive audience. So how am I
Oh,
going
okay.
to not make a fool out of myself in 6 minutes? Well, here's what happens, right? Because again, I have so much experience in the world of public speaking, and I have these critical points so internalized. I was able to fit everything in what would otherwise take 2 hours. I was able to fit that into 6 minutes by
Right.
just having so much familiarity with those points of passion, those critical points. I'm able to compress and expand them at will, whatever I need to do. So I ended up speaking for those 6 minutes on everything that I had to, leaving out what was not necessary and keeping in and expanding and emphasizing the important things. And by the end of that presentation, I was even told that it was one of the best that they ever had at that event, despite the fact that I had to completely scrap everything. And
Nice.
that's something I encourage all speakers to do. So, moral of
Mm.
the story, to answer your question, think about those points of passion, those lessons from your entire story, those things that you want the audience to stick with, and rehearse and practice a 10-minute version of those points, a 1 minute version of those points, and you'll notice how you're able to speak on it in a lot more fluidity, a lot more casually, and interlace it within your conversations.
Isn't that funny? I just kind of thought about because I love studying success principles because when you know those principles, it doesn't matter what industry you can apply them to, right? And I just thought
Mhm.
about how similar to trading, right? It's like the importance of being able to trade in different minute time frames.
Yeah, it's
If you
pretty much
want
the
to
same thing.
be, yeah, if you want to be an expert trader. So I just thought that was a funny parallel, but in regards to achieving success in these two realms, right? Trading and speaking. Now, in terms of concluding, right? Let's say you were able to get the stage, you're able to go through your points. How do you end, right, with an oomph?
Right. Well, that's the most important thing. And even I said to you the other day, when you're speaking, about 95% of the things that you say will pretty much get thrown out the window by your audience's subconscious. They're not really going to memorize your entire speech word for word. So your outro, your closing remarks, and especially those critical points that I'm talking about, you're working to set up and roll this boulder up the hill. You're preparing these points so that once you get to the conclusion, you're able to throw this boulder down and it comes crashing into the audience, right?
Hmm.
And that's an important visual to have present. You're not always going to be saying the most important thing, but you want to be preparing for that outro, that call to action, that those closing remarks, right? And I said to you, doing an outro, doing a closing to your speech is it's simple but not easy, right? It should be a one sentence, very simple, very clear call to action, right? Because when you're
Hmm.
speaking, you're essentially harnessing all this energy from your entire audience. You're getting them all riled up and all passionate about something. You have to give them an outlet. You have an entire raging ocean prepared to take action for whatever you say next. So that last 2 minutes of your whole presentation is crucial. You're going to unleash all of that into one direction. So it's so important that you have a very clear call to action. I even taught you, for example, it has to be, or it should be, 1 to 2 sentences, a very obvious, memorable, word for word, verbatim thing that your audience can walk away with, right? So, for example, in your case, something that's very important, if you're doing investing or if your services are in the world of finance, you spoke a whole presentation on to the importance of financial liberty, the oppressiveness that comes from the American system if you don't leverage it, and the way that your audience can walk away from that and build their own systems, right? Your
Hmm.
call to action should be something like, don't sit around, don't keep waiting. We even include a free conversation, a free lesson. Take that step. Don't let it go to waste. Don't let this last hour that you listen to me be for nothing. Go online, search up our name, and schedule a call. Something as simple as that is all that, for example, you guys could use or need to do. You have to polarize your audience in that way. Make it sound like it's something they have to do and have to do right away before it
Hmm.
goes to waste. Motivation is nothing without a clear direction to move.
No, it's so true, right? Because you have all this like pent up energy, and it's just like you want to
Mhm.
make sure you direct them somewhere.
Absolutely right.
Do you
Absolutely.
have like top call to actions that are your favorites for yourself?
Right. Well, I always direct people to my website, for example, but I like to do it in a special way because, again, pretty much every time you speak on a stage or you open your mouth, what
Hmm.
separates the top 10% speakers from the top 1% is there's not a single thing that the top 1% speakers say that is not compelling. It's not unexpected or it has the audience always leaning in, right? So if I'm speaking about, hey, go to my website, that doesn't sound very impactful. That doesn't sound like it's going to really leave a mark. And I'm probably going to even lose some people. They might not be very compelled to do so. So instead, I might say something like, you've tried everything in the book. You're here in this room today because you've done well, but you're looking to do even better. And if you're looking to scale up to that point of explosiveness, I need you to take a step towards your own success, towards your own courage. Put your voice on the stages because the world needs to hear your story. So schedule a call with me on the website and we can talk more about how to align your purpose with thousands of people. That's just a little off the top of my head call to action, right? You want to
Hmm.
dramatize it, you want to emphasize it, and you want to highlight why the people are there to listen to you because they just listen to you for an hour or so,
Yeah,
and that's got to be for something. You can't leave them
right.
hanging like that.
Well, why don't we go ahead, right, and actually put it to use right now. Sebastian, I really appreciate you coming on the last couple of times to share with me your insights, not just on trading, your journey, but how you have made speaking, right, part of your business that's allowed your business to blow up. And with that said, right, how if the audience wants to get a hold of you, right, what is your last message that you want to share with them?
Right, absolutely. Well, one thing that I always remind everyone in today's world, and it's very true, especially for the younger generations or aspiring business owners, even the more experienced ones that feel stuck, It's a completely different world today. The entrepreneurs that we grew up watching that would always talk about how they made their success, those things don't work anymore. Entrepreneurship is very oversaturated, but that doesn't matter if you have the one thing that everyone else lacks in today's world, and that's authenticity, integrity, and purpose. People just scroll aimlessly through Instagram ads, through Facebook ads, because none of that is actually, it has no soul. There's nothing behind it that makes it have that impact. If you can embody that, you will watch your business succeed over 90% of all competition that there is. So, once again, call to action, it's very simple. Refine your speaking, whatever way possible, find stages. If you're going to do it by yourself, that's fine. If you're looking for a solution that's more immediate and a team that you can leverage to find success, Speak Up Express. Speakup.express is my website, and you'll see all of my information there and a calendar link to schedule a call with me.
Thanks so much, Sebastian. It's been great having you on, man. Definitely learned a lot. And audience, if you're listening, speakupexpress.com to get yourself out there, get some help so that you can get your message out, get your purpose out, and blow up your business the same way Sebastian did. Thanks so much, man. I look forward
Absolutely.
to
Thank you so
seeing
much.
you and hearing from you again, okay?
And just very quickly, you said speakupexpress.com. It's actually just speakup.express. Just to be
Oh,
clear.
there's no .com. It's
Yeah, it's
speakup.express.
speakup.express. Exactly right. Yeah, we have an express domain. So thank you. Just thanks for clarifying that real quick.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Well, hey, everyone. Hope you were able to learn something today. That concludes our trilogy with Sebastian here at the Lightspeed Investing Podcast Studio. And until then, we will speak again.
Thank you so much, man. It's been an honor to be here as always.